Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Natalie, it is just you today. Um, and you have all of us
Lucky
and
me.
all of our note takers. So actually I thought I'd give you the opportunity to just ask some questions or discuss any point you want to discuss.
Well, as it happens, I do have a question.
I love it.
Um,
Right, let's have it.
we have a chap who has a bad back.
Mm-hmm.
This has been going on for a few years. I have every sympathy. I have also had a bad back and a slip disc and all that. But he works in our warehouse, and his
Okay.
job is mostly involves a lot of picking up boxes, heavy boxes, not so heavy boxes, etc., etc. Anyway, he's had some time off. It goes sporadically. That's all fine. Today he's come in and said that he's been having a look on Amazon and he's wondering about a lumbar support thing, and basically would the company pay for it? So I sort of just thought, oh, I'll ask HR later. So I was just very much like, oh, I would think if your doctor or your physio says you need it for work, then I'm sure we can look at something, trying to not commit myself. Um,
Yeah.
so my question is, where do we stand? Obviously, we may choose to, and if it's only a £20 thing, then we might. But equally, I'm sort of the opinion that if it's just off Amazon, it might actually do more harm than good. What do we know? So where do we stand? What we should and shouldn't do?
Well, you can take either approach, really. What we should not do is say no.
Yeah,
So that is what you shouldn't do. And then I would say that you should go with your risk assessment. So maybe redo a risk assessment with him and understand whether this is a adjustment that he needs or additional equipment that he needs. For example, some people ask for a standing desk or one of those funny shaped chairs or, whatever, for office workers. It's the same kind of thing. So you want to treat it a little bit like a request for additional equipment in order to make his job easier, sort of as an adjustment. But I would definitely do it maybe in a conversation about his risk assessment to understand like what the benefit is here. And then you can go down the road of saying, look, if this is, we're happy to pay for this. If it is, suggested by either your doctor or your physio that you have one of these, then absolutely the company will pay for it. Or, like you say, if it's just 20 quid, you might say, yes, we will pay for this as part of, additional equipment following, sort of at the end of this risk assessment. So that's the way I would go with it. So I would go with saying to him, okay, you know what, we'd like to, follow your request for this. We'd like to actually review this risk assessment and understand the benefit or the need here. Then have the risk assessment and then go one of the two directions at the end of that risk assessment. Say either, absolutely fine, send me the link, let me have a look at it, and we'll get that purchased for you. Or say, we feel that if this is something that is suggested as additional needed equipment by your GP or, a health professional, then we will purchase this for you.
yeah. Well, I don't want to be in the position where we go, oh yeah, sure, we'll get that, and then in 6 months' time he goes and sees a consultant who says, oh my God, you've been using that, that's made it worse. Presumably that's not a great idea either.
No, it's not, but it's not on you. And that's why I wanted to do the risk assessment rather than just go, yeah, sure, no problem. Send me the link, I'll buy it for you.
Yeah.
That's why you want to go through that risk assessment and you want to have a conversation about why he believes that that is what he needs and it will be beneficial for him. Because then, if he then 6 months later, his GP or his physio says, oh my God, you've made this so much worse and now you're sick for 6 months because you need surgery or something, that if you then try to say, oh, well, you provided me with equipment that made my issue worse, you can then fall back on that risk assessment and actually be like, no, you requested this. There was a risk assessment in which you told us why you needed this piece of equipment that we then purchased for you.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why I wanted to have that risk assessment.
So just on a wider thing, we're sort of getting to the stage where we're like, look, I personally don't think he should be doing the job he's doing. It's just it's never going to end well for him.
Yeah.
And, we've given him as lighter duties as we can. There's no other job we can move him to. But I'm presuming if we want to sort of go down a capability route, that we have to do the whole OT assessment, all that kind of thing.
So I would say that if you were going to go down that route, that you're going to need the occupational health assessments and that kind of thing. And remember, it is always very difficult / impossible to remove a person from their role if they say they can work.
Yeah. Okay.
Judges don't like the look of that. They just don't like the look of it, no matter how much evidence you have. If that employee keeps turning up for work and saying, please let me work, I'm okay, I can do some of this work, especially if they're still trying to do sort of at least 50% of their role, then it's really, really hard to convince a judge that you know better, even if you've had even if you've had the medical advice and everything. It is very, very difficult to convince a judge that you've done the right thing by letting someone go who is now out of work and potentially unemployable. If they still said they're okay to work and they're still able to do kind of 50% at least of their job.
Yeah. Okay.
But what you might end up with is a situation where at some point he needs to look at an alternative job for an alternative, maybe for reduced hours. Maybe he ends up going on a job that's 2 days a week or 3 mornings a week or something like that. And it's a reduced pay, reduced hours, reduced tasks. You could end up there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we get that far, I'll email in and get more details.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Chris, you've joined us. Have you got any questions?
Yep. So I think just caught the back of that conversation. I'm sure we've had a conversation about it as well before. We've got, I guess, a bit of a sickness issue with a member of staff, which has been ongoing since last summer. And it's a mental health issue. She sadly got, dare I say, punched in the face on a night out. Was off sick last summer for a period of time, probably about 8 weeks. Came back, has been okay. She's a mum. She does 2 days a week, 6 hours, I think it is, per day. So she's been with us probably 4 years now. Likes to come to work, and then in the last 5 to 6 weeks has gone off again. I think there's a couple of little underlying things in her life. She's had to move house. She probably is in social housing, but she's moved into an area that's not quite where she wants to be. It's upset her young daughter, and it's all kind of compounded, and it's brought a few things back probably from last year as well. And so now she's been signed off with mental health for the last 4, maybe 5 weeks. So yes, it's not helpful for us, clearly, because we're trying to fill the gaps, but it's understanding how we help as much as we can. We offer, we've done for another member of staff, we offer through Kent Golf. They have a mental first aider. So we always reach out to them and offer that service as well to the staff to say, hey, we can help. If you want to talk to someone in confidence, please let us know. We'll put you in touch. But yeah, it's how to navigate the long-term sickness effects, especially when it's a mental health matter.
Okay. So the previous absences, were they also related to mental health? So this is the underlying issue.
I think the underlying
The
issue from
underlying
certainly
side.
last summer, yes, you had a couple of issues prior to that, but I think since then, essentially, it's been due to the fact of this incident that took place last summer.
So is it like an anxiety or a PTSD or something along those lines?
I'm going to say yes. I don't
What
know
does the
the
sick
full
note say?
extent. It just says mental health.
Okay.
That's all it
All
says.
right.
Mental health issues or mental
Okay.
health. Nothing deeper than that on the
Yeah, no, so it's probably a bit of a broad. Okay.
yeah.
So if she's been off 5 weeks now, the first step I would say is when is her next sick note due?
I think it runs out. I'm going to say at the end of this week, if not early next week.
Okay. So I would suggest that as soon as you receive that new sick note from her, that you then also request a welfare chat with her. This
Okay.
is at this point, this is a very supportive, gentle, informal style of conversation. It really is a how are you? Is there anything we can help you with? Do you need any support? Kind of conversation. It's not really a conversation about when are you returning to work and those kind of things. It's more about, are you getting some treatment? Are you getting some help? How do you feel that's working? It's a supportive chat. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you really want to repeat that. You want to get into a regular pattern of repeating that check-in style welfare meeting with her every sort of 4 to 5 weeks. Now, it does tend to work well if you coincide it with when you get the sick note.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, she sends you a sick note every month. Then when you get the sick note, it's a nice automatic response to say, thank you for your sick note. Are you free for a call in the next few days just to check in and see how you are? Then it's not out of the blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had it with another member of staff last summer. She was a similar thing. And she didn't come back. She came back, then went off again. Then she came back after Christmas because she'd been literally signed off for almost 3 months in the end. And I had a similar thing. So I did the same. I just sent her a message to say, look, I can help. I'd like to listen. How are you doing? And she might ignore me for 3 or 4 days and then come back and say, so sorry, Chris, not been able to chat. And I'd just say, well, let's schedule a call. And we did. And I think that did help her in the end as well, because she ultimately wanted to come back to work. She just couldn't face going out of the house in reality in the end. Probably because she'd been stuck so long indoors, that fear of, but she said, I want to come back to work. I said, well, that's great. I said, Mum, you got to make the first step and walk through the door. And I said, also with the help thing, she looked to go to, say, Kent Mine down here, but it was almost taking that first step. She was fearful and said, unless you take that first step through the door, you're not going to, I said, not progress is the right word, but you've got to make that step to think, right, I'm through what I've been through. I need some help. And she did. She reached out to them, had a couple of phone calls. She spoke to the lady at Kent Golf as well, I believe. And she's been back for the last 2 months. So touch wood on that one, things are improving. I just want to be able to do the same now for this other one that's...
Yeah, so it's just the same approach.
Same thing,
and it's also important, obviously you want to help her, but it's also important from a business point of view that if we are 6 or 12 months down the line, that you can show that you have regularly, not too regularly, interacted with her, made actual calls or meetings with her to discuss how she's doing, to discuss support. Later on, we'll start to add things in regarding a potential return to work or not being able to return to work and occupational health and those kind of things. So it is important. It is also part of the tick boxes that you need to be able to tick 12 months down the line if we need to maybe terminate her employment because she's not able to return to work. Or God forbid you ever end up getting something like a claim against you for discrimination or something, then you're able to say, no, we looked after, we ensured that we gave her the time, and we had the meetings and we had the contact, and then we had the occupational health. And, so it is also important, even though it's gentle, it's informal, it's supportive at this point, it is important that you are starting to build that process and that case to either for a defense, or if you need it in the future. Hopefully you don't. We help her return to work in the next few months, and it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah?
Cool. Thank you.
Let us know if you are kind of 3 months down the line and she's still offset. Get back in touch with us, because then we're going to want to start changing a little bit about what you talk about and maybe go for occupational health and things like that.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Any other questions? No? Right. Well, if there are no other questions, I'll give you 10 minutes back today, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you want a free peace of mind call with us to discuss your policies, handbook, and any burning staff issues in your business, click the link in the description below.